Well, hey there, fellow Texans. Welcome back to the James Show, News Talk 820 93.3 FM WBAP. I guess it worked. We don't have any kings. So good job, protesters over the weekend. I was really worried about that. All the signs that you spent so much time on worked really well. Sarcasm aside, though, it was a pretty good little turnout, more so than most protests you see around here. And there were a lot of them. I was expecting, in my little chat group, they were talking about the big ones that were happening in Dallas and Fort Worth and Denton and Plano. And I'm going to play you some audio from Frisco and Carrollton. And this is coming from Tony Ortiz, currentrevolt.com. He'll be our guest in the next segment. But if I could just sort of distill down all of it, because he put minutes and minutes up there. Carlos Tercios from Dallas Express was out at different protests, and I was watching a bunch of audio. And I think if I could just play one lady and not even tell you her name or where she was at, this is probably a good summary of what the generic question and answer session was at the protest this weekend.
Right now, our president, our government, is targeting people of color. And so white people, non-people of color, need to stand up for them.
How are they targeting them?
With the ICE raids.
Yeah, but those are people that are getting deported. If you're a citizen, you're like, I'm a citizen, I'm brown, I have no fear of being deported.
I'm telling you, the United States is taking American citizens and putting them in concentration camps until they can be released. There are documented cases of American citizens being taken. There was one woman who was sitting in a parking lot eating her lunch, and they came up upon her, I guess just saw that she was brown, broke her window out, drug her out of the car. The whole time she's yelling, I'm an American citizen, I'm an American citizen. They still almost ripped all of her clothes off. They ripped her shirt all the way off. And took her away in handcuffs, even though she was yelling, I'm an American citizen.
That's interesting. So you're telling me this woman was just casually sitting around having lunch and then they just picked her up because she was brown?
Yes. That's how insane it is right now in our country.
Wow.
Are you not reading the news?
No, I don't. I guess not. I haven't heard this. I know that
what are you with? What?
Current Revolt. Yeah.
What are you with?
Current Revolt. What do you read for news normally? Like if I were to be as informed as you, what would I read?
Read The Guardian a lot.
Okay.
I read a lot of different.
Like what else besides The Guardian?
I'm telling you, I read a lot of different newspapers from various sources. I have, like I said, I'm a former Republican, so I read Republican leaning, right-leaning.
What's an example of like a right-leaning rag here in Texas?
You know what? I don't think I'm going to talk to you anymore because I feel like this is kind of a got you and you're not even listening to me.
So wait, just answer the question. You said you read right-leaning rags. Which one?
I don't think I'm going to talk to you anymore because you're not educated enough to hold a conversation with me at this point.
Well, I just asked you a question.
And I'm telling you, I don't think you're educated enough to have a conversation with me.
Well, just ask you a question. You said you read a right-leaning rag. Which ones?
All right. I listened to about 30 minutes of that. Between yesterday and today, I could listen to a whole lot more. God, that's just delicious here. Because you got to start to ask yourself, okay, so no kings. We don't have a king, so what are they protesting? Well, they're using this as a metaphor for authoritarianism. And then you got to think, well, they're really worried about authoritarianism. Did they go berserk during COVID? Oh, no, actually, they were pushing for all that authoritarianism. In fact, you were called a Nazi or killing grandma if you didn't go along with that authoritarianism. So, okay, so they're not really against authoritarianism. They're just against this specific brand of authoritarianism. Well, closer. It seems like they have just been trained to hate Team Red and whatever they stand for. And let's go grab a sign out there. Here is another one from Tony Ortiz, Current Revolt, talking to his new friend Jackie out at the No Kings protest in Frisco on Saturday.
Now, I noticed this is my second protest I've been to. It's almost exclusively white people here. Why do you think that is?
Maybe some other people are afraid to come out.
You think being here in Frisco is kind of scary?
It could be, yeah. I mean, I'm over 60. I'm to the point now where I no longer have a filter. They can come and get me. I don't care.
Do you think minorities are just afraid to show up in Frisco at a protest?
They may be, yeah.
Got it. Okay. Why do you think they're afraid?
I do know that in the previous protests here, they have had drones go over. They have a lot of other people taking pictures, and it unless you're an old white woman like me who has nothing else to lose, maybe it is frightening.
So the world, Frisco is a frightening place. Frisco, dangerous for people of color. It's like 1/3 Indian, but you can't protest out there because, yeah, minorities are so scared to go out and protest. Unless it's a free Palestine protest, then that's almost all minorities. Unless it's an immigration protest, plenty of minorities flying flags from everywhere else but America. Does she really think that? Does she really think, well, the reason why it's just a bunch of old white people out here? I would guess, number one, because it's Frisco, right? Not exactly the youngest, hippest part of town. Same thing with Carrollton. Hey, how come everyone at Carrollton is like 55 or older and white people? Because it's Carrollton, y'all. Because it's... I bet the No Kings protest in Atlanta or New Orleans or Memphis wasn't all old white people. Such a weird thing to focus on, but it is funny to watch the answers here. So that's Tony Ortiz from Current Revolt, and he was right to sort of point that out. Do you have an explanation on why it's just old white people? And I'm not saying I have the explanation for that, or even that's a sufficient explanation that it's Frisco or Carrollton or whatever. The thing I'm more interested in though is what brings these people out there. What makes these people go grab a sign and stand on a corner? Now, I've heard from a lot of people that they're getting paid. Some people are getting paid. Most of them are not. The people that you see going from protest to protest to protest across the country, they show up on different news channels and different interviews and whatnot. Yes, paid protesters. The people that are usually wearing vests and they're holding a clipboard and they're answering questions, or I guess it's an iPad these days, and people are asking them questions and they're directing them where to go, probably getting paid. People handing out signs might be getting paid. But the overwhelming majority is people who have been scared, you-know-what-less by the TV, and so they're going out there trying to do something about it. Now, if there really were roving mobs of presidents' personal police that was snatching up American citizens and putting them in the concentration camps, I'd like to think I would be against that too. But seeing as how, with some general human error thrown in there, when you're deporting 500,000 people in the last 7 months or whatever, there's going to be some boo-boos in there. But generally speaking, when you're going after and enforcing immigration law the way it's written, that scares you? Do you really think it's dangerous for people of color to be standing in a median in Frisco holding a sign? I don't think so. I think you're crazy if you think that. This is Martin in Euless. You're on WBAP. Hey, Martin.
Hi, how are you doing? I have a simple question I'd like to ask either one of these ladies. If brown people are being targeted, how come they weren't being arrested at the MAGA rallies? And there was a bunch of them there.
There's not an answer for that, Martin, and you damn well know it. But they have been conditioned to think that you're a racist, that I'm a racist, that Garrett's a racist. Everyone on WBAP, we're either openly racist or too stupid to know that we're supporting racism. And so this is the worldview as they see it. And I think these interviews are just a great glimpse into the mindset on what makes people go out there. They haven't heard from our side of the story. From our side of the aisle. They don't listen to Fox News. They don't listen to WBAP. They don't read, right-wing websites or follow right-wing people on social media. They've just heard all the bad stuff. They've heard that you're a racist and we're fascist and we're hunting brown people for sport.
Right.
Yeah.
They're ridiculous people, and I do think it's comical that they're all out there in little blow-up costumes and stuff. I mean, they're making fools of themselves in just so many ways.
Oh, I kind of like the costumes. It's a nice touch. It's better look than the black bloc stuff that they usually wear. All right, I got to run, Martin. Great call. Thank you, sir. All right, coming up next, the guy who got that audio, Tony Ortiz from CurrentRevolt.com, will be on the show to give you a little more in depth on what he saw at the No Kings protest over the weekend. What did you see at the No Kings protest over the weekend? 800-288-9227. I'm James Parker on News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. The No Kings protests, did it work? Let's ask a guy who was there. I'm James Parker. It's News Talk 820, 93.3 FM WBAP. This is The James Show. Joined now by our friend Tony Ortiz from Current Revolt, currentrevolt.com, and a very good Twitter channel. In fact, I just retweeted from the WBAP account, some of the full video of the clips I was playing in the last segment. So Tony Ortiz, thank you very much for going out and checking out these protests. Tell us about what you saw. So my theory on this is, what is your closest proximity to a college? And so I bet you the one in Dallas, the one in Fort Worth, the one in Denton especially, was probably much younger and dare I say diverse. But Frisco, where would they even draw from their pool of minorities to have diversity there? Well, solid point. Yeah. All right, Tony Ortiz, your theory. Why is that? Yeah. Well, I can see why this wouldn't appeal to the Hispanic people that show up at immigration protests, or the diversity you see at a Palestinian protest, or some of these other causes. Black Lives Matter, of course. There's going to be not just 65-year-old white people at that. So I think maybe the vagueness of the mission here contributed to it. And I noticed that was something that you were having trouble getting answers on when you were asking people, why are you here? What are you protesting? You got answers from all over the place, and they were all just really vague. Okay, so that's a great answer, but let me add to that because I think for a lot of these people, this is taking the place of what church used to do for previous generations. Because get this, Tony, you have a bunch of like-minded people congregating on the weekends. They sing those same songs that they all know. They all do their little incantations together and do their little chants. And they just want to fellowship with some like minded people and ultimately sort of spread the word and spread their ideology and hope they're influencing the community around them to adopt their values. And in that case, this sounds like their religion, Tony. Oh, please do. You don't have to worry about crediting me because I'll forget I said it coming up. Man, great work. I highly encourage you guys to go to currentrevolt.com and check out the full length of his videos, or I shared them on the WBAPX account. So thanks again, Tony Ortiz, for going out to the protest and getting some good audio for me. All right, there he is, Tony Ortiz. Another round of applause. Really great work. Coming up next, I have some more audio from local No Kings protests. We have Tony Ortiz and then Carlos Tercios from the DallasExpress.com. I have some audio from him coming up next. And I would like to hear from anyone who, especially if you attended a No Kings protest, I would like to hear why, what drove you out there to do it. If you saw some of the protests, call in and tell me what you saw. 800-288-9227. I'm James Parker on News Talk 820 and 93.3 FM, WBAP. Hey, it worked. We don't have a king. It's the James Show, News Talk 820 93.3 FM WBAP. I am your host, James Parker. We're talking about the No Kings protests that happened all across the country, but there were plenty here in North Texas over the weekend. And I guess it didn't work because we woke up this morning, no king. Thank you very much. And look, this is going to be sort of my mantra for all protests going forward, because this is how I've always thought. Like, even when I was in college and I lived on a college campus, and every once in a while, people would be like, we should protest something or other. And I always thought, what does that do? You make a foam core sign, you go stand on the side of a road, make a bunch of noise, hoot and holler, maybe sing some songs, maybe occupy a park or whatever. But, I've been reading all my books and looking at how this whole governance thing works. And we probably need to get a legislator to sponsor a bill and maybe get other representatives to vote on it, and then it becomes law, and then it can be signed by the governor or by the president, and then it could be survive judicial review. And I think that's how you affect change, isn't it? I don't understand the signage thing. So Jeff Dye, a comedian, nailed it.
I don't know how all these problems aren't getting fixed. Yeah, I understand. There was like an anti-Elon rally today in the city. I don't know how that didn't get solved. I mean, they had a ton of signs. That's your best plan? Cute sign with glitter glue. Everyone driving by is like, what a bunch of idiots. Sometimes I honk just to get their attention. Like, bam, bam. Like, it's helping. We're doing it. We're fixing Palestine.
Isn't that true? There's a genocide. Well, what should we do? Let's go make a sign and stand in the park here in downtown Dallas. What? So I'm always skeptical of protests anyway. So if I sound a little cynical or smarmy or whatever, it's just that I just don't have that gene. I don't have the gene that watches forensic shows. I don't have the gene, that Law and Order, CSI, Cold Case. I don't have that gene. I don't like those shows. So I don't have that. I don't understand the foam core signs. There's a lot I don't understand in this world. But Carlos Tercios is going to be on in the next segment. He's with Dallas Express, dallasexpress.com. And he talked to an Antifa protester that he saw yesterday. And check this guy out. He talks about sort of the whirlwind tour he's been on.
I traveled the country. I went to Florida. I went to Missouri. I've been to Indiana, Texas, Oklahoma, Washington, Portland. And I'm here to spread anti-fascism, because America was never fascist and it never will be. Not as long as any anti-fascist lives.
Okay. Who do you consider to be a fascist in your eyes?
Well, currently, the whole Trump administration, it may not be entirely fascist at this point, but they're quickly going towards authoritarianism and totalitarianism. But that's all. That's the only comment that I'm going to be giving.
So a couple things out of that one soundbite there. You have a guy who's traveling the country. Either he's independently wealthy, like a trust fund baby, or he's getting paid. Number two, that was probably one of the better answers you got. I mean, I know it was incredibly vague, but trying to answer the question, what are you out here for? That's pretty good. He's worried about authoritarianism. I mean, he didn't care during COVID, so I'm skeptical over whether he's really concerned about the government just snatching the reins of power and controlling what their people can and can't do at the drop of a hat, at the whims of the people in charge. But, well, at least he's against this one. And keep an eye out. I don't want any kings around here either. So what did you see at the No Kings protest? This is Al and Azel. You're on WBAP, Al. What's up?
The people out there didn't even know what they were protesting for. And some of the ones that want to kill Trump and want to kill all our MAGA people, maybe we should have public hangings again.
Did you call them MAGA people?
Yeah, that's what they're wanting to do. They're wanting to kill all us conservatives. And so maybe we need to have public hanging from all the criminals that are out there that are protesting. And there ain't no king. There won't a king. There is God is the only king of this world.
I hear you, Al. Thank you for calling in from Azel. What did you see? 800-288-9227. Now, I think it's a little extreme. Of course, that's not the mainstream of thought on our Team Blue neighbors here in North Texas or anywhere in America. I bet you most of them don't want us to all die. And I'm sure you could find a few fringe people out there who think we all should die. And when I say fringe people, I just mean that it's far less than 50% of our friends who identify as Democrat want to see all of us dead. But some of them really do buy this stuff, like John Cusack was at the No Kings protest in Chicago. Let me squeeze this in here because this is fringe.
This is your city. What do you see happening to your city right now?
Everyone knows the score, right? The authoritarians divide and conquer, and they create an other, and then they pick on it, and then pick on the person and harass them, jail them, and that's all used as a distraction so they can steal as much as they can, maintain power, right? We all know history, so
yeah. We'll finish the John Cusack clip later in the show there, but did you catch that? When you wonder, like, how do these people think that? How do they have this in their head that they're surrounded by fascists and white supremacists? Well, because MSNBC tells them, their other friends in the Team Blue community tell them, their college professors told them, John Cusack tells them, their favorite movie stars from the 80s, 90s, 2000s. I mean, some people are like, John Cusack's an idiot. I'm never watching his movies again. Well, I am. I like all his movies. What am I supposed to pretend like I didn't like 16 Candles? I didn't like Empire Records. I didn't like Stand By Me. I didn't like Grosse Pointe Blank. These are all great movies. And so for people who are, I guess, not deep thinkers here, they have they think they have these connections with these people, and they see this go through their social media. Oh, John Cusack, I love him. Well, John Cusack seems like a nice guy, and if he's concerned about kings or fascists or whatever, then all these other people are. That's just a confirmation bias. The real miracle is, how do you not fall for it too? Good job, you. 800-288-9227. 800-288-9227. Coming up next, Carlos Tercios from DallasExpress.com was out at some No Kings protest over the weekend here locally, and he'll tell you what he saw on The James Show. News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. All right, so we still don't have some Kings. Is it because they protested this weekend? 800-288-9227. I'm James Parker, News Talk 820-933 FM WBAP. Carlos Torcios from the Dallas Express was out at the No Kings protest. And Carlos, I don't know if you were listening, but in the last segment, I played one clip of you where you talked to an Antifa protester. And when I say Antifa protester, he was covered in black. He had the helmet on. He had goggles on. You couldn't see his face. And he talked about how he had been to all these other protests. So a couple of things just to start off with. You know, that guy, he's probably getting paid, wouldn't you say? So look, when we talk about the people that were out there, I'm sure most of them were not paid. But the other thing we learned about the from the Antifa protester that you talked to was some of them didn't have a real good grasp on why they were even out there, Carlos. Yeah, well, I thought that part was kind of cute. So when you talked about the assault, Alex Stein got assaulted, a couple other people. Did anyone get arrested? All right. So Carlos Tercios, anything that you saw at the protest that you're not seeing reported? Totally agree. Carlos Tercios, thank you very much for your work. You can find it at dallasexpress.com, and he's got a heck of an X feed, too, if you want to follow him there. Carlos, I appreciate your time, sir. All right, coming up next, I still have some more sound bites from the local No Kings protest that I want to run by you. 800-288-9227, and you can tell me what you saw at the No Kings protest if you call in. 800-288-9227. I'm James Parker on News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. Welcome back to the James Show, News Talk 820 93.3 FM WBAP. I am your host, James Parker, and here we are trying to cover what all happened at the No Kings protest because, a lot of us were busy on Saturday. I've got kiddos and a family and job, and most people have a career and stuff. And so the turnout, in the big cities, it was huge. And I'm going to be honest with you. Judging by the size of their protests, I think Boston's going to go Democrat in the next election, y'all. I'm really concerned about losing that. All right, a couple more pieces of audio, though, because jokes aside, let's see what we can learn from this. Here's another good one. Just the takeaway here is so fun because there's this new genre of sort of social media reporting, and the hero in this genre is the black guy in a MAGA hat. Because if you put a black guy in a MAGA hat and run him out to a boomer, old white liberal, magic happens. Just absolute magic happens. I don't even know hang on. I don't even know what protest this was, by the way.
You know what's the shame of all this?
What's the shame of all of it?
Black.
What does my color got to do with it?
It has a lot to
Tell
do
me
with
what. Tell me what.
Because he hates non-white
Really?
people.
Show me.
Non-white people.
Show me.
If he was such a great
Please
guy,
show me, sir.
if
Sir,
he-
please show me. Sir,
you know
please
what
show
they
me.
Keep saying?
Show me the
You know
proof
what
of that.
They keep saying? They keep saying.
Sir, please show me the proof of that.
The Republicans keep saying that he.
You're never going to get rid of this man.
No, I know. I know.
Hey,
He's messed
there's.
up.
So I just love that first. You know what the problem is?
You know what's the shame of all
What's-
this?
what's the shame of
You're
all of it?
black.
Oh man, I enjoyed the No Kings protest. I enjoy the fact that, you know what, you're so upset about the results of the last election and the policies that are being implemented that you're going to go ruin your own Saturday. You know what? Go ahead. Go ruin your own Saturday. Don't spend time with your family or your friends or with your hobbies or taking care of your house or getting your car fixed or whatever. Go whine about fascist. This is Ken in Wolf City. You're on WBAP. Ken. Kenneth? Kenny. I give up. I guess the fascists got him, right? He was probably taken by some masked ICE officials and sent to a concentration camp, even though he's an American citizen. Ken, you there? No. All right, well, I'll give up on him. So I want to play the rest of that John Cusack clip. Cusack clip. He was at the No Kings protest in Chicago. Listen to this whole thing.
This is your city. What do you see happening to your city right now?
Everyone knows the score, right? The authoritarians divide and conquer, and they create an other, and then they pick on it, and then pick on the person and harass them, jail them, and that's all used as a distraction so they can steal as much as they can, maintain power, right? We all know history, so that's what he's doing, and we have masked goons roaming the streets, hiding their faces, abducting people.
What is the most upsetting headline for you? When you see something in the news, does it hit you in your gut? Does it hit you in your heart?
It's all upsetting. Seeing sort of seeing that sort of cosplay that the right wing has been fooling around with for so long, seeing it kind of devolve into the real thing is predictable, but deeply saddening.
You're a storyteller. What is the story of Chicago?
Go to hell.
Is that the message from Chicago?
Yes. What's interesting is that he doesn't understand that all the labor rights around the world came from this town, this place. So if he thinks this place is going to be a fascist hub, no chance.
All right, so if you are one of the people who make your living with social activism, with political activism, you know you can't keep your base revved up on an issue just at breakneck level of emotions for more than about 3 months, maybe 6 months at the most. And so I don't know if you probably put this together before. That's why they got to cycle them out. we'll do an immigration protest today, and then in 3 months we'll do a Palestine protest, and then in 3 months we'll do a protest for gun control, and then in 3 months we'll do a protest for, well, we don't have anything. Let's just do another No Kings. Yeah, we can fit that in anywhere. And so you'll see them cycle through. Then it'll be Ukraine, and then they'll get back to immigration and griping about ICE, and then it'll be back to some sort of race grievance, like a BLM protest. And so they have to kind of keep cycling them out. And I think that's really the only thing we were getting out of this process is they got to keep them raged up, because it really only lasts for about 15 minutes if you don't keep the cycle going. And we saw that because earlier this year, one of the biggest things that had all these same people so outraged that they were firebombing dealerships and keying Teslas and doing all that damage, they stopped. Didn't they stop? That didn't last very long. That was what? Something that happened for a month, 2, maybe 3. Are they still mad at Elon? What happened to keying Teslas? What happened to that? It's just a phase. They're all just phases.
I got behind a Tesla on the 15 and it was like, don't blame me. I bought this car. And I was like, oh, remember 10 minutes ago they were burning Tesla dealerships and spiking their tires and keying Teslas and stuff. And I'm like, are we just, here's what I want to say to people. So we're done with Elon. But by the way, like, how do I explain this to future generations? Like, what happened? There's this guy who's a genius from South Africa. And he came here and he made an electric car. Oh, they hate electric. No, they love electric cars. Oh, okay. And then what? Well, he was a genius and he built electric cars and they love the guy. But then what happened? Well, he bought Twitter. Yeah. For what? For free speech. Oh, okay. So they love the guy more. No, now they're angry. Why are they angry? Just opened up the thing. Well, they didn't want to admit that they used Twitter to do whatever the they wanted, and they hated free speech. They just wanted their speech, but he opened up. So anyway, then he started a department called Doge, where he was going to save taxpayers a whole bunch of money. Oh, they must have loved that. No, that made them more angry. Really mad. What do you mean? They started burning Teslas. Wait a minute. I thought they loved the environment. Yet they do. Okay, but then what? So what happened? Oh, nothing.
Nothing. They were forgiven.
But how long were they burning the? Oh, like 15 minutes.
Yeah.
Then they were done.
That's the great Adam Carolla. Coming up next, you're going to hear from a former Navy SEAL now with a group called Overwatch about the Trump and Zelensky meeting last week and the other one coming up in Budapest. Are we going to see an end, or at least a ceasefire, in the Russia-Ukraine war? That's next on The James Show. News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. So we got peace in the Middle East. Will we get peace in Ukraine? Let's ask a former Navy SEAL, Mike Sorelli, on the James Show. News Talk 820 93.3 FM WBAP. Welcome to the show, Mike Sorelli. Let's talk about there was a meeting that happened last week. We're expecting a future meeting in Budapest with separately Zelensky and Putin. Are you smelling a ceasefire? Well, I doubt the war is going to last forever. So you're expecting something more along like an 8-month window, maybe a year before we get this thing wrapped up? I'm kind of surprised no one's gotten assassinated yet. That seems to happen a lot in the Eastern European theater of conflict. Am I just too influenced by movies? We're talking with Mike Sorelli, a former Navy SEAL, and now with Overwatch. So, when we see all the conflicts around the world, does it help that we see Iran behaving and now Gaza's sort of calming down and the Houthis are sort of calming down? Does that put pressure on Ukraine and Putin to come to some sort of agreement, or do they not care? Yeah, I theoretically I would like for the wars to end, but I got to tell you, it hasn't really affected my life a whole lot personally. So, the apathy on this side of the pond is almost understandable that there's not more of an outcry to do something about this because, aside from our taxes and our dollar being inflated with deficit spending, the negative consequences on this war is not what most wars have meant to the home populace through all of human history until recently. We have a very antiseptic view of war in the 21st century. Right? All right, Mike Sorelli, tell them about the work you do outside of the James Show. All right. Thank you very much for your time on the James Show. Mike Sorelli, appreciate it. You go to weareoverwatch.com for his website. That's always cool talking with a former Navy SEAL. Because you have in the back of your mind, it's like, if I say something wrong, he could probably kill me with his pinky. So I might want to get it all right and not screw this up. Okay. Coming up next on the James Show, and if you have some more No King story to tell me, I'll take more calls on that if you want. But I kind of want to move on because we're having a run of homicides this month in Dallas specifically. And so I've been sort of watching this story, and then WFAA came out with a great little package that's going to be a 3-part series that's right alongside with this. And they're starting in the neighborhood called Park Row, which is adjacent to Fair Park. So all the stuff we were talking about with the State Fair and, the crime around it and blah, 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 it fits in perfectly with all that. So we're going to talk about this strange, concerning spike of crime in Dallas and why this is happening, what can be done about it next on the James Show. News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. Hey, football fans. James Parker here for the Prize Picks app. Now, I was watching the Cowboy game yesterday, and I didn't do so good with my lineup. That's all right. I won last weekend. You can't win them all. But I am submitting another lineup. In fact, I already did it for tonight because you have Houston has a game. In fact, there's 2 games going on. So we have a busier than usual football schedule. Tampa Bay and Detroit are playing. And then Houston's taking on Seattle. So I have 4 players in my lineup for today. And so, you know why? I'm going for a little bit more money. If you want to, play small, you can win small. But if you want to play big, you can win up to 2,000 times your money. You make a lineup of 2 to 6 players. I'm doing 4 for tonight. And you look at their statistics and you pick one, you pick more or less on it. That's it. And so then you play the games, you collect your money. It's that easy. Now, if you're just getting started out, I can give you a little bonus to work with. Download the Prize Picks app, use promo code WBAP, and you get $50 in lineups with your first $5 lineup. Download Prize Picks, use promo code WBAP, get $50 in lineups with your first $5 lineup. And it doesn't have to be football. If you're watching the baseball playoffs or basketball's back or hockey's back, it's all on Prize Picks, America's #1 daily fantasy sports app. Prize Picks. It's good to be right. Now's your chance to win part of 5K a day on WBAP. Your chance at $1,000 right now. Pay off some bills. Just text CENT, C-E-N-T, to 95819. That's CENT, C-E-N-T, to 95819. And you could score $1,000, sponsored locally by Mullen & Mullen Injury Law Firm. Good luck. So we're having a crime spike in Dallas over the last few weeks. I'm James Parker. It's The James Show, News Talk 820 93.3 FM, WBAP. So the two questions that we have in very important local stories like this is, number one, why is this happening? Number two, what can we do about it? So the why is this happening? There's nothing new. When you have millions of people in your society, there are going to be folks who fall through the cracks, and they are going to have to rely on unsavory industries for their survival, to ply their trade. And I just don't want to pull out the libertarian card on you. But when you make things illegal, you push it out into the streets. When you make things illegal, that doesn't end prostitution. That doesn't end drug doers, drug users, or drug dealers. It just means they can't do it inside of a store with, the regular conveniences and facilities of a legal business. Would you rather this happen in, a vape shop? Or would you rather this happen on the sidewalk in front of your house? So when we look at the spike in crime that's happening, a lot of people are pointing at the homicide rates, and there's been a lot of shootings, a lot of weird shootings. We had the dude that got beheaded not too long ago, and the Frisco knife stabbing incident, and there's just all kinds of just crazy stuff that does seem to be a little bit higher than normal. And when you go run the numbers, it is a little bit, but not too crazy bad. However, I love having this conversation because if you don't diagnose the disease correctly, you're going to apply the wrong medicine. And when, the medicine can break down also into two parts. What do we do about the people who are rolled up into this now? And what do we do to prevent or at least minimize people being rolled up into this terrible activity in the future? So let me play a couple of cuts here. Brittany Moncrisi from WFAA is doing a 3-part series on this. And the first one, it's really good. And it just came out on, when was that, Friday? So I saw it over the weekend. I want to play a couple clips for you right here. Number one, it's so bad. And this is the neighborhood that's right next to Fair Park, where I was broadcasting on Thursday and Friday. If I walk around to where the dinosaurs are and I leave on MLK Boulevard right there, I am in the neighborhood that they're talking about. So what they've done here, they've spent some time. They've got some residents in the area to let them put up cameras. And I don't know if they're putting up just like Ring doorbell cameras or whatever, but you can tell these are little IP cameras from a distance just to monitor what goes on in that neighborhood 24 hours a day. And they were picking up all kinds of crazy stuff on video. Like, you hear about this, you read about it in the news. But for some reason, it just hits a little harder. It slaps, as the kiddos would say, when you have to watch this on video. This was some eye-opening stuff.
So we went to see for ourselves. On the first day, used condoms and alcohol bottles.
It's just evil. It's just evil.
For hours, those believed to be sex workers walked up and down the block. And even more shocking, on the second day, in broad daylight, 2 people appearing to be engaged in sexual activity right in front of us. And another day, cameras catching this even as people drove by. That's just the daytime. At night, our cameras pinging nonstop as activity picks up.
It's something that's very resolvable with just a police presence.
All right, hang on. All right, before we get into the next part, when you heard all the ding, ding, dings, it was hookers everywhere. And I'm not saying that to be demeaning or disparaging or as a pejorative, but it was just like a wave of hookers. And then there was drug dealers. And then there was the poor fellas that jump in on that. And I don't know. I found this really disturbing. Oh, Brittany Moncrief. Thank you. I mispronounced her name and I deserve that correction. Brittany Moncrief. In fact, she said it at the beginning. I don't know why I said Moncrief. Thank you, Bruce. But it was a lot And we don't like seeing it. And the natural reaction for a lot of people, and you just heard the lady going into it, well, we just need to get some more cops in here. Okay, well, what happens if you get more cops? Are prostitutes going to stop being prostitutes? Are sketchy guys going to stop paying for sex through the services of these ladies? Or are you just going to make the life a little more harder for them? Because from whatever we've done, we haven't found a way to stop prostitutes. And no society has through 7,000 years of recorded human civilization. You can go back to the old Sumerian cuneiform tablets from 3500 BC in the ancient city of Ur, and there's hookers running around. So I know it's a distasteful industry, one that you don't participate in. I don't participate in. I would never want any of my family members to participate in it, but it exists and it's going to exist. And so now I can say, well, would you rather this happen in an illegal brothel where cops can, be called and administer justice and whatever? Or would you rather have this happening in the Buick that's parallel parked across the street from these people's house? Because this is the option we have now. I don't know what button you can hit or what you can push to get rid of all the hookers and drug dealers in the world. But I do know how to take it off the street and make it a little less unsavory as it already is. Legalize it. I know that sounds crazy. Can you just not push back on me? Just try and digest this for a second. But the people's, not everyone, but the people who your reaction is, well, we just need more authority. We need more cops. Look, I get what you're saying, but when has this ever helped? And is this what's going on in the neighborhoods that don't have this?
And say they've called police repeatedly.
Other communities in Dallas will talk about response time.
Oh, no, wait, this is going to the rep. I'm going to go to the part where she talks to a city councilman, Adam.
We need the Dallas Police Department to step it up.
Dallas City Councilman Adam Bazaldua, representing this area.
My residents don't want to hear excuses, especially when I have seen the difference in response times in other parts of the city.
He says it's a lack in equity, with South Dallas being majority black and brown, with higher concentrations of poverty.
I also have seen the difference in resources devoted to areas of the city where council members kiss the police's ass. And that's reality.
All right, so how about you don't say we need more cops and then you insult the cops or you insult the people? When where we have nice neighborhoods, where we don't have hookers that are just roaming the streets in a herd, basically, where we don't have a herd of drug dealers and hookers all night running through our town, is it because we have a faster response time? Is it because we have more police? Or is it because we don't have drug dealers and hookers? Maybe it's something beyond the color of the skin of the people in the neighborhoods that is causing them to have such a hard problem. You know what they do have in nicer neighborhoods? Dads. Yeah, I know that's very reductive and it's not that simple. But where I grew up, in the middle of nowhere, and when I talk about being from Buck Tussle, I really mean I'm from a 30-acre pasture that if you drew a triangle between Tyler, Arp, and Overton, you don't know where those other two towns are you? I lived in the middle of that, where if you called the cops, a good response time would be 45 minutes. Sometimes it'd be an hour and a half. I don't know. It just depends on if Jeff was occupied that night or if he was, cleaning up after a car wreck in Winona. Sometimes it'd be 2 hours before we had a police response. And it wasn't police response, it was a sheriff's deputy because we're an unincorporated part of town. Did we have hookers and drugs? No. So response time has nothing to do with it. Sir, could you stop blaming the cops? Sure, we need more cops. I'm sure it would help a little bit. But the problem in your neighborhood is not that you have too few cops. It's that you have so many hookers and drug users. Now, why is that? Let's start answering that question. What's your answer for this? 800-288-9227. Why do some neighborhoods have hookers and drugs everywhere and some don't? Is it because of racism or police response time? Come on. So we'll continue fleshing this out. The spike of crime here recently in Dallas. What's causing it? How do we fix it? I'm James Parker. It's News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. Welcome to the James Show, News Talk 820 93.3 FM WBAP. I am your host, James Parker. So we're talking about the big crime wave that's happening, and the ones that make the news are quite concerning here. But there's also, most crime that happens doesn't make the news because it's not salacious, it's not newsworthy, but it's happening. And we're in the middle of a big debate here on the police situation in Dallas. Now, police having the appropriate amount of staffing and training and all that. Oh, yeah, super important. Please do not misunderstand that I'm diminishing the importance of policemen when it comes to public safety out there. But that's not the be-all, end-all, and I don't think that's what's driving this issue here. Yes, we passed the HERO amendments in Dallas last year, and the police are supposed to be staffed at a level higher than they are by now. And I guess they're going to get sued by the HERO folks for it, and maybe something will happen from that. But I promise you, even if we get policing up to the proper staffing levels, even if we get response times down to an acceptable level, that's not going to solve this problem. We're having a concerning run of homicides just in the last calendar month. And, these aren't some angry couple getting mad at each other. Some of these, we don't even know what the heck's going on. Like there was a triple homicide that we had reported on last week where some guy got shot, ran off the road. When a father and adult son went to check out on the guy to make sure he was okay, they ended up dead too. What a scary story. We don't have an ending to that story. We don't have a follow-up to that story. But when you see the spikes, you got to say, well, what are we doing different now than we were doing last year? Or what is causing this spike? And so you're going to have some immediate answers to that. And when I say immediate, I mean time sensitive to something that we did in the last couple of years. But I really feel like the discussions around this are so shallow because part of the reason we're having a crime spike this year is because mistakes that were made 30 or 40 years ago. And I'm not talking about the civil rights movement. I'm not talking about something evil Ronald Reagan did. I'm talking about some people had a kid when they weren't planning to, and they weren't real studious about raising it in a biological household with their parents. And so you say, well, why is that such a big deal? Well, we have all kinds of studies on this. The number one driver, the number one predictor on whether or not someone will be a criminal, whether or not someone will be a prostitute, whether or not they'll be a drug addict, whether or not they'll be homeless, the number one predictor of that is whether or not they grew up with their dad in the house. Children brought up in single mother homes, according to studies, are 5 times more likely to commit suicide, 9 times more likely to drop out of high school, 10 times more likely to abuse chemical substances, 14 times more likely to commit rape. That's just for the boys, obviously. 20 times more likely to end up in prison, 32 times more likely to run away from home. So look, let's just take out one statistic there. 10 times more likely to abuse chemical substances. We're never going to get rid of druggies. We're never going to get rid of drug dealers. We can bomb all the cartel boats we want to. Hunter Biden's still getting high tonight. But we can reduce it by 90% if we just go back and re-embrace the nuclear family. If a child brought up in a single mother household is 10 times more likely to abuse chemical substances, what would happen if we, instead of focusing on police response time or staffing levels, we focused on dad staffing levels? We focus on how do we end up with as few single mother households as possible? How do we end up with as many dads participating in the rearing of their children as possible? And the closer you can get that number to 100%, the closer you can get the druggie number down 90%. So that's just one of them. And then we talk about, you can talk about trying to keep them out of the gutter, trying to keep them off drugs, trying to keep them out from under a bridge doing crack, or trying to keep them off the streets, turning tricks for money. There's also the positive incentives. 35% of boys with a present biological father obtain a college degree. The ones who don't, just 14%. So it's a total seesaw effect. Not only will it keep you out of the gutter, it can catapult you up the class ranks, where you can go from poor to middle class, or you can go from middle class to upper class, or you can go from upper class to the 1%. Who knows? But you have a much greater chance of doing so and avoiding all the foibles of human existence if you just have a dad. And so while I appreciate the rundown that WFAA is doing, the attention that they're getting, the info that they're bringing to my face, the video that I've never seen before that absolutely shocks me, until we start bringing dads into the discussion, and it's not just dads, it's the nuclear family. Who does that? Who supports the nuclear family? Who wants you to be monogamous? Who wants you to not be promiscuous until you get married? Who wants you to wait until you get married to even risk having a child? Oh, that sounds like a very Christian thing. Christian? Well, that's weird. Well, who celebrates the family and has all kinds of family activities for every event that's ever coming up? Who talks about family constantly? That would be the Christians. What percentage of the hookers walking the street and the drug dealers burning a rock right now, what percentage of them were in church on Sunday? I mean, it's probably not zero, but it's got to be close. You know, at some point when we have these conversations, you will notice we are on the right track. When it's just one of the 18 bullet points that people bring it up on why is this happening and what can we do about it and how can we solve this problem and how can we make a better future? If you're not including the discussion on family and religion, then you're missing most of the discussion. It's like if you have a lesion on your face, and it won't ever heal. You have this scab that's on your temple and it won't ever heal. Well, it's because you have cancer. Well, let's just put a Band-Aid on it. It's never going to get rid of the lesion. It will cover up the lesion, but you're still going to die from cancer. And until you go address the root cause, you're never going to get rid of the lesion. Maybe we can attack the cancer and minimize the lesion and get rid of it altogether. But that's how I feel about these crime discussions. You're going to have to bring up Jesus and you're going to have to bring up your dad at some point. At some point, it's not the cops' fault. It's not white people's fault. It's not rich people's fault. It's your dad's fault. 800-288-9227. 800-288-9227. Now, if your bunker is almost out of freeze-dried food, we'll have survival tips for the apocalyptic shutdown of 2025 coming up next on The James Show. News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. It's day whatever of the shutdown. Are you still even alive? It's the James Show, News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. I am your host, James Parker. What day are we even in? What are we in, like day 20 of the shutdown? Day somewhere that you don't even know. The crazy part is I'm over here looking at Fox News and MSNBC, and neither one of them are saying much about it. It's been on the TVs here in the WBAP mothership. And ever since I sat down, I've seen scant a mention of it. If you go through the headlines, scant a mention of it. I thought this was the most important thing in the world. I thought this was so important that we were willing to shut down the government and have kids die and old people die and people be turned away from healthcare centers and just writhing, and everything's fine, isn't it? Everything's actually doing pretty good. Here's the dirty little secret. We don't ever have to reopen these parts of the government. Because, look, let me give you a great example. Some guy, I don't know if he's some, jerk libertarian like I am, but he's taken it upon himself to document on social media his trips to national parks. Now, national parks, this is a shutdown. They don't have anyone at the toll booth or, at the entrance to collect your fee to go in. And so if you can just go through and they don't have the gate down, then guess what? You can still see Mount Rushmore. You can still go hiking. You can still go camping. You can still go climb rocks. You can still go see nature. And so the one he went to was, I think it's called Three Arches. I don't know. It's a national park where they have these arch formations, and you'll hear him mention them. There's also like one of the big formations there is called Balancing Rock or Balanced Rock. And it looks like there's this giant boulder that's sitting on a very small base. And you're like, that should tip over. Why isn't that tipping over? But you know what? Even without the federal government fully funding all the park rangers that are supposed to work at this facility, you can still go enjoy the national parks.
All right. Day 11. Government shutdown. Arches National Park and here. All right. Guess we don't need a reservation to access our own government land. Sorry. Arches are still arching. Balance Rock still balancing.
Anyway, he keeps going through all the sites you can see at the national park. And he does this for other national parks, which is something that I've mocked on the James Show without having, the benefit of someone actually go through and prove it. Because I've always joked, how do you close a national park? And so I even had someone call in last week when I was talking about this, and they were like, well, the park ranger's got to take out the trash. So I can't go look at Mount Rushmore unless that's not even a park ranger. That's a janitor you just described. So how do you shut down Mount Rushmore? You drive by it. Don't look at it. Avert your eyes. It's closed. Look away. Look away. It's like in the Blair Witch Project when they make you go stand in the corner. How do you not observe the arches? How do you not look at Balancing Rock or the Balanced Rock? What a silly thing it is to even purport that you can shut down nature. Oh, the forest. Can't go in the forest. Why? Forest closed, sir. It's a forest. It doesn't have an entrance or an exit. It doesn't have one of those screen gates that you pull down like we're at Hot Topic in the mall. It's the forest. It's open. And I love people pointing this out because I think more and more people are kind of getting the feeling that, what are we reopening? Everything's fine. Your life is fine. Taxes are still going to be deducted from your check. Weren't they just deducted from your check on the 15th? Or if you get paid on Fridays, wasn't it just deducted from your check during the shutdown? Sounds like we're not even really shut down, are we? So I hope more and more people are getting that message because, it's kind of hard to pierce through the skulls of people who aren't paying attention as well as you are. But progress is being made. Don't worry. Progress is being made. My favorite story today is the heist that happened at the Louvre. The Louvre is one of the biggest and most important museums on planet Earth. It is the home of the Mona Lisa and 20 other paintings that you don't know the name of, but you would recognize like, oh, I've seen that before. That's me. That's where I'm at in my art journey. But 4 guys dressed as construction workers stole, and they're saying it's Napoleon's crown jewels. It's not Napoleon's crown jewels. It's Napoleon III's crown jewel. So Napoleon's grandson, who wasn't even around during the whole Napoleon thing, he was in the restored monarchy like 50 years later. So it's not a Napoleon thing. It's a Napoleon adjacent thing because they have a similar name and they're somewhat related. But other than that, what a cool story. This sounds like an Ocean's 11 or 12 or 13, or I guess this would be 14. What are we up to now?
A massive manhunt is underway this morning for the jewel thieves behind a daring daylight heist at the largest art museum in the world. Police say 4 men disguised as construction workers broke into the Louvre using this mobile elevator before making off with priceless pieces of France's crown jewels.
This is the heist of the decade, targeting the Louvre, the world's most famous museum. It's as bad as it gets, especially for France, but also for the entire world.
Police are investigating this image from a video obtained by BFM TV, which they believe shows one suspect trying to access one of the jewelry cases. The suspect's making off with 8 items, including sets of sapphire and emerald necklaces and earrings, 2 diadems and elaborate diamond brooches. This one purchased by the Louvre in 2008 for just under 7 million euros. It all played out 9:30 Sunday morning. Officials immediately shutting down the museum.
And all of a sudden, we were kind of rushed by a big mob of police that were running by, and they were all running to one of the wings of the Louvre, and they were trying to get into one of the side doors.
Visitors inside quickly evacuated. Police say the masked robbers drove up to the side of the museum in a truck mounted with a ladder described as a mobile freight elevator. Police say the lift was extended up to a second-floor window, which the thieves broke open using an angle grinder, a handheld power tool used for metalwork. From there, they're alleged to have threatened security guards before ransacking the Apollo Gallery, where Napoleon III's crown jewels were on display. Police say they tried to set fire to the lift they used before they fled. The raid lasted all of 7 minutes before they escaped on scooters. But the gang seems to have dropped the 200-year-old crown of Empress Eugenie, Napoleon's wife. It was damaged but recovered at the scene.
You cannot replace them. They are so important for French history that you cannot sell these pieces. What everybody fears is that the gold and the silver will be melted down and the jewels will be taken out and sold separately.
Now, along with that crown, the thieves look to have dropped a blowtorch, the power tools they used to get in, gloves. Forensics experts are going to be poring over those items to find any clues to make sure they find these items before they disappear forever.
So they got away with it. They still haven't been caught. This is like the heist of the century. 800-288-9227. I don't know if you heard the news, but the gas prices are the lowest they've been in 4 years. RT Trevino with the Crude Truth podcast will explain next on the James Show, News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. Hey, Texas homeowners, James Parker here for Rhino Shield. Now, my house is brick, and I just have a little bit of wood on the gables. But for you people who have an all-wood house and you've already had to get it repainted once and you're looking to get it repainted again, if you had gotten Rhino Shield last time, you wouldn't be in this mess because you wouldn't see any cracking, flaking, or peeling in the paint job that you have now, would you? Now, you would also, not only does it look good, but you have missed out already on saving on your energy costs. It has a 6.9 R factor for insulation, blocks 90% of UV sun rays, so it keeps your home cooler in the summer. So you've already just been flushing money down the loo by not getting this in the first place, and we want to stop that cycle. We want you to not paint your house, coat your home with Rhino Shield, and you never have to go through this again. You can come back in 5-10 years. You're not going to see cracking, flaking, or peeling like you see right now. You can come back in 25 years, and you're not going to see cracking, flaking, or peeling. Then you're going to get the added benefit of blocking UV sun rays, insulating your home, because it's 8 to 10 times thicker than paint. It won't change your surface texture. You'll still get that nice wood grain but it is fully breathable. It expands and contracts with your home, and it is a space age technology that if you call them, they'll come out, they'll explain to you, they'll give you a little demonstration, and then you can go make the great decision from there to not paint your house, but coat your home. Go to rhinoshielddfw.com. Well, the price of gas is looking pretty good. Welcome to the James Show on News Talk 820 93.3 FM WBAP. I am your host, James Parker, and the price of gas is the lowest it's been in 4 years. And so what we're looking for is the lowest it's been in 5 years, because then you can say it'll be lower than it's been at any time since, well, the last time Trump was president. And that's kind of a better sell of the situation. What you can say is the gas price being at a 4-year low. Now the price of gas is lower than it has been since the first year of the Biden administration. Okay, sounds pretty good. Not quite as good as, because listen, if it goes just a little bit lower, we're talking like a few cents lower, the sentence will be able to come out of not just Trump's mouth, but anyone who's having an honest report on this, and they can say prices under Trump have already come back down to lower than at any time during the Biden administration. We're a few cents away from that. But we also know the common economic arguments that happen anytime we talk about the price of gas. The having a lower price of gas means that when you do your holiday traveling next month, can you believe it's almost Halloween? Well, when you go to visit your kids or your nieces or nephews or grandkids or whoever for Halloween, when you're driving hundreds of miles, that starts to add up. And it's not like you're going to take that money and put it in a mutual fund and retire on it later, but you'll have more money to spend when you get there, or you'll have more money to spend when you get back. And so this is multiplied over and over and over. But, for so many industries that are gas heavy, huge deal for these guys. And the fact that if you own a trucking company, the gas price being lower than it's been in the last 4 years, huge deal. If you fly a lot, you people who use the services of an airline for anything, big, huge deal for you too. So it's not just, when you stop into Buc-ee's, hey, maybe you can get an extra beer or something because you're saving a few bucks. Now, it's of course a lot bigger than that. I was hoping to have RT Trevino on, but he gets sidetracked sometimes. And if he doesn't come on soon, we'll just continue this conversation tomorrow, because this is huge. And if the price goes down too far, which this is what we like to ask RT about, at some point, if it becomes too low, that's a bad thing for us here in Texas. We're a very petroleum dependent state. And if we can only sell that stuff for $50 a barrel, then that's going to be a net negative for our economy as a whole. Oh, he's here now? Oh, good. RT Trevino, thank you for coming back on the James Show. Now, what I was just discussing here, has the price of gas, or the price of oil, I should say, gone so low that it's starting to hurt the oil patch in Texas? Ray? Oh. Yeah, I hear you now. Yeah. So, when you say that we're getting 2 to 3 times more out of wells than we did just 5 years ago, isn't that what you were saying 5 years ago? Isn't that what the oil patch technology brag was 5 years ago? Wow. So it really has gone. What do you credit the new technological advancements to? RT Trevino, when we talk about the price of oil being so important, that's one of the things you guys cover on Crude Truth podcast. What you got coming up this weekend? RT Trevino, I appreciate you being on the James Show. Thanks for keeping us caught up on the price of oil, sir. Coming up next on the James Show, we're playing Dead or Alive. I've got to give away some Styx tickets. So if you're interested in Styx tickets, this is the easy game show. I'm going to list 10 celebrities. You have to guess if they're dead or alive. That's it. That's next. If you want to try and win the tickets, call in right now. 800-288-9227. I'm James Parker on News Talk 820, 93.3 FM WBAP. Hey, it's your chance to win part of 5K a day on WBAP. Your chance at $1,000 right now. Pay off some bills. Just text ROLL to 95819. That's ROLL, ROLL, to 95819. And you can score $1,000 brought to you locally by Mullen & Mullen Injury Law Firm. Good luck. Who wants to play Dead or Alive? Well, you're going to have to play in your car because the lines are full, okay? Just play at home by yourself, and you can give yourself partial credit. But today we're playing for tickets to see Styx. Let's go ahead and hit that intro, Mr. Jovi. Thank you, Mr. Jovi. He's got a great voice. That what's his name? John something or other? Yeah, new kid over there. Welcome to Dead or Alive. This is a game where I give you 10 celebrities. You have to tell me if they're dead or alive. Today we're playing for 2 tickets to see Styx. One night only, Wednesday, October 22nd. Bass Hall in Fort Worth. Yeah, this Wednesday. Get tickets at unthealth.edu/legends, presented by JP Morgan Chase, benefiting UNT Health Fort Worth. And today's category is Tom. These are all going to be famous people you've heard of before. Name Tom. We'll go to Desiree in Dallas. You're on Dead or Alive. You ready, Desiree?
Yes, I'm ready.
How confident are you in your knowledge of famous Toms, Desiree?
Oh, 50-50.
Okay. This might be a little easier than you expect then. Well, look, the first 2 are going to be pretty easy. Tom Hanks, dead or alive?
Alive.
See, you're off to a good start. Tom Cruise, dead or alive?
Alive.
All right, Desiree. Tom Clancy, the author who wrote Patriot Games and Hunt for Red October and all that stuff. Is Tom Clancy dead or alive?
Tom Clancy, alive.
No, he died in 2013. Thank you very much for playing, Desiree.
Oh, man. Thank you.
Mark in Arlington, you're next up on Dead or Alive. You ready?
Yes.
The winningest quarterback of all time, Tom Brady, dead or alive?
Alive.
Tom Selleck, Magnum PI. Is he dead or alive?
Alive.
And I know he's done things since Magnum PI. You don't have to email me, people. Tommy Lee Jones, dead or alive?
Alive.
Isn't he a Texan? Tom Jones. It's not unusual. That guy, is he dead or alive?
Yeah, I'm going to go dead.
No, alive, 85 years old. I know. It's a good guess. I didn't know that one for sure either.
He should have been dead by now.
Yeah, well, when you're 85, the clock's ticking, right? Nice way to be morbid there. Steve in Canton. You ready for Dead or Alive, sir?
Yes, sir.
See, what do we got here? 3 left. So all you got to do is get 3 correct for Styx tickets. Tom Petty, dead or alive?
Dead.
Yes, he's been free falling since, I think it was 2013. Tommy Hilfiger, dead or alive?
Dead.
Nope, live, 74 years old. I know, now we're just down to 1. Rick in Oak Cliff, all you have to do is get 1 correct and you're going to win the Styx tickets. You ready?
I've got a 50-50 chance and I'm ready.
All right. First off, Tommy Chong.
Smoke weed every day. Tommy Chong is alive.
Tommy Chong is alive. That's right. 87 years old. And he looks great. Maybe we should take up smoking weed there, Rick and Oak Cliff.
Well, at least gummies anyway.
Right. Good answer there, sir. Are you able to go on Wednesday? Are you claiming?
No, you know what?
Pass them along?
I'm in Post, Texas for a funeral, so pass them along, senor.
Then we shall do that. You other people on hold, hang on. Garrett will talk to you, and one of you is going to get the tickets, Jeff or Vincent or whoever else is still on hold. And that has been today's episode of Dead or Alive. Mr. Jovi. All right, we got ourselves a winner here. Appreciate it. I know, good to see you. Coming up next, we'll give you a summary of the Cowboys game from yesterday with John Ingham from the WBAP Weekend Morning Show on News Talk 820 and 93.3 FM, WBAP. Is it time to get excited about the Cowboys? I'm still a little skeptical here. And let's welcome back John Ingham from the WBAP Weekend Crew. Welcome back. And I watched the Cowboy game yesterday. And yes, they won. And yes, it was against Washington. So I'm happy about that. But it still wasn't that pretty. Tell me, how do you feel about the game yesterday, John? Well, I have so many excuses, and I'm not a fan of excuses. Yeah. Well, let me go and put in all the caveats in there on why I'm not so excited about the win. First off, Washington had so many injuries on the offense. What they had, like their 3 starting receivers were out, and so they're throwing to like their 4th stringer and then the water boy, and they still made 3 touchdowns on us, throwing to nobody, and then their quarterback got hurt, and so now they have their backup quarterback throwing to the water boy, and I don't know why we finally put a lid on it in the 4th quarter, but I mean that's a lot of caveats in there, John. Well, look, I'll remind you that you've said on this show a couple times you'd rather them have a terrible season than a somewhat mediocre season and get a somewhat mediocre draft pick. And, you know, the draft picks that we're going to get from Green Bay aren't going to be very helpful from that Micah Parsons trade. So, you know, this kind of goes against your wishes here, John. How do you feel about their chances against the Denver Broncos next weekend? Don't do that, John Ingham. Don't give me hope. Because right now we're sitting at 500 with 3 wins, 3 losses, 1 tie. Somehow we're in second place in our division. I know. Could we screw around and make the playoffs? Okay. Well, yeah. Sounds like we could really use Micah Parsons there, John Ingham. All right. Yeah, hey, I got to run. We're out of time. This is John Ingham, host of the WBAP Weekend Morning Show, and he helps us with the Cowboys coverage as well. Thank you very much, sir. Appreciate it. All right, that's going to do it for our time on the James Show. In the meantime, if you need more James Show action, please go check out the podcast wherever you already listen to podcasts. We have a lot of good stuff that's on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, all that good stuff. And I retweeted the videos of my first guests of the show, Tony Ortiz, interviewing people at the No Kings protest at several places over the weekend. You can go check that out on the WBAP Facebook and WBAP X feed. I'm James Parker. This has been The James Show, News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP.